People.
Hey, Greenberg, what are you doing these days?
You know, I've been in New York, but right now I'm really trying to do nothing for a while.
That's brave at our age.
Dear Starbucks, in your attempt to manufacture culture out of fast food coffee, you have been surprisingly successful for the most part. The part that isn't covered by the most part sucks.
I'm impressed by you.
In what way?
You seem really fine doing nothing. You don't feel all that pressure to be successful. I mean, by other people's standards.
What do people say about me?
They think you don't make any efforts.
I'm making my brother's family a doghouse.
Can we take it slow? I just got out of a long relationship and I don't want to go from just having sex to just having sex to just having sex.
Who's the third just having sex?
You, if we had sex. He seems vulnerable.
We continue our Baumbachathon with our fourth episode, Greenberg. I'm Thomas Carruthers.
And I'm right behind you. I'm Rhian Holmes, coming to you live from the home of one Thomas John Carruthers, but I was not good enough to be put in the room. I've been bumped.
No, this has been brought up many times. I don't need to go into logistics. Maybe I'm just a bad podcaster. Maybe I'm not professional. But I don't have any full-time lending record equipment, and many other reasons. So it is easier for us to just do it in Zoom in other rooms. Anyway.
Look at all that room in frame.
Roman?
Room in frame.
Oh, I genuinely thought you said Roman frame.
Look at that strong Roman frame you got.
Thank you. Well, that's I was described
to be gassed on, everyone in pro players.
Yeah, make sure you're in Osset between the something of the 1st of February. Yeah, if your choice is to go watch Daisy Edgar Jones in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof at the Almeida Theatre, or go see the final night of Beauty and the Beast at Osset Town Hall, make the right decision, because one of them will be very erotic. Greenberg, you've told me not to ask you every time what your ranking is of these Baumbachs as we go and that sort of thing. However, in general, I would say there are like 3 dividing lines in the Baumbach career, and each of them have a weird overlap into the other. And well, there comes a very special time in an auto's life when he meets an incredibly attractive, wonderful woman and devotes his entire life to putting her in everything and writing with her. And sometimes that can happen during the making of a film that you created and developed with your previous wife. And such a film is...
It's actually crazy. Like, the behind the scenes is more gripping to me than the actual events of the film.
Oh, yeah, big time. Ginger. Right. Greenberg. A fine film. I think for me, the Baumbachs get better as we go, apart from Squid and the Whale, which I think is his second best film.
This definitely felt like more sophisticated, like he's kind of in the big leagues now with this one. Like, I don't know whether he just had more of a budget or more kind of, it was a stacked cast.
Well, not to be rude, but so's Margot at the Wedding. It stars Jack Black and Nicole Kidman,
That's
two of
true.
the most profitable
Yeah.
stars of that. And I'm not saying that,
But I guess there's fewer of them. Like, I said this last time with Margaret at the Wedding, like there weren't actually that many people.
But it also not. But are you saying that Brie Larson and Greta Gerwig are big people? Because they are now. They weren't then.
I think they were veritable unknowns at the time. Well, Ben Stiller's huge.
Yeah. Yes, Ben Stiller's huge, but I wouldn't say that Ben Stiller. I'd say that Ben Stiller is on par with Nicole Kidman. Anyway,
It's
Greenberg.
a lot of names together. Your Dave Franco's, your
Again, Dave Franco, not really a commodity at the time.
when was this? When did this come out?
2011, I believe. 2010 or 11.
Sure.
So Dave Franco's previous biggest role up until this is 2008 Superbad, the guy who pisses his pants.
Iconic. My point proven.
I agree. I agree. And by default, he's everybody's favorite Franco. But, by default. Greenberg. The story was developed by Jennifer Jason Leigh and Noah Baumbach. In a departure from Baumbach's previous New York set films, the story was to be set in Los Angeles. Is this the core text for Marriage Story?
Yeah, I was thinking that of like this is the beginnings of the New York LA conflict.
Here are a few quotes from Baumbach. What would be my version of an LA movie? Greenberg. And here's a more imperative one. I wanted to shoot LA as a real city, as a city I've come to know and have real affection for. I've always been interested in it, but it never seemed to be a place that people could raise families here or have lives here. That is a real thing he said in 2010.
Wow. Hey, he's nothing if not consistent.
Indeed. Did you like Greenberg?
I did. I really do marvel at his ability to just make you sit with quote unquote shitty people and get a real kind of, sympathy and affection for. I think it's a real skill to, and yes, sometimes they are the butt of the joke, but you spend enough time with them that it's not as simple as like wanting them to do well, but it's like, oh, I feel like I really see you in a way that like other people don't.
And I think that kind of shifts from this point on because the next movie that we're watching is Frances Ha. And then you've got Frances Ha, and then you've got While We're Young, two movies with somewhat mass appeal. And Mistress America, which also has likable characters, more or less. Meyerowitz stories, they're likable to a degree. And yeah, now we're into, and then your next three movies are a detour, I think, into quite likable, quite commercial movies. Then you've got Meyerowitz Stories and Marriage Story, which feel like a combination of the first era and the second era, and then White Noise, which is entirely its own thing, which we will discuss. He saw it as a novel sort of film. It felt like a cinematic version of a novel by Philip Roth or Saul Bellow. In other words, a somewhat aimless tragic comedy or a comedic drama or whatever. He talked about the films of Hal Ashby. I rewatched in the cinema the other day a film of Hal Ashby's The Wonderful Coming Home. And so you can see those elements. What shines through for you in Greenberg? Is it the characters, the comedy?
I think it's a very simple concept that pays off for me. And I think all of them have been thus far, but I don't know, I think the setting like really drew me in of like it's neither of their house, it's neither of their space. And they're kind of it's the liminality of that and like them passing through and they're both masquerading as adults who have it all together. And just kind of this meeting in the middle. And yeah, and just like the effortless comedy of like, what do you actually have to talk about with each other?
To me, Greenberg has always felt a movie where, and I know timeline-wise, this doesn't pan out officially. It feels like the movie's fucking called Greenberg. And it feels like a movie that was written to be about Roger, to be about Ben Stiller, and then he cast this dynamite young woman as in the role of Florence. And I have no confirmation on whether he added more Florence scenes or anything like that. But it feels like the power of Greta and obviously the power of their behind the scenes romance led it to be more of a balanced movie for the better.
Absolutely.
And Florence doesn't come off in any way as just the love interest or anything like that, but it becomes a film with them both on a level more or less. No, it's still Greenberg's movie. Greenberg's definitely more scenes and that sort of thing.
I know what you mean, because I think it could have very easily been, we only follow his point of view. And yet we get this lovely stretch at the beginning of, we meet Florence first, and her attachment to the house and to the family, and like we want the best for her, and then suddenly comes in this fucking train wreck of a guy. And so it's an interesting way that it's set up, like how it ends up being his journey of, taking accountability and like taking back control of his life, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have changes that we can talk about. But yeah, I definitely appreciate it being more of a two-hander. I think I would have gotten frustrated if it was entirely him. Yeah.
Well, and the three-hander, I mean, we'll get to it later with it. Just a great argument, discussion, whatever you want to call it, when Risa fans finally just snaps at him, and it's like, I wish Vic had, I can't do a Welsh accent. You are my darling Welsh friend, but I can't do Welsh. So, and I infamously don't
hate the Welsh.
Do hate the Welsh, but I infamously don't much care for Risa fans in Notting Hill, and I think it's because his character is just slightly too fucking stupid and too wacky, and that has blinded me to liking Risa fans. Other than everything else he's in, more or less, including this, where he's a brilliant character and very well portrayed. I had tickets booked for Risa fans for To Kill a Mockingbird, but then it got COVIDed and recast with Rafe Spall, who I'm not a fan of, to be frank.
Yeah.
Greenberg. What again, I write stories and everybody writes stories, blah blah blah. Why is this the movie that they came together on, him and Jennifer Jason Leigh? I mean, Jennifer, I am seeing The Wedding Party, the Jennifer Jason Leigh movie that she wrote and directed with Alan Cumming, which is by all definitions, it seems rather Baumbachian, or rather Woody Allen, whatever you want to call it, just people struggling through life drama comedy. What do you think drew her? Do you think, is it as simple as her giving? I mean, I'm speaking completely reductively here, but is it as simple as she brought the character of Florence, he brought the character of Greenberg, the other way around? Was it just they had an idea?
I'm so interested in kind of double-hander. Well, because he's credited for the screenplay.
He's credited for the screenplay. They're credited for the story.
Yeah. And I'm interested in how that comes together.
Then Francis Ha is credited. They both wrote it. Mistress in America, I believe. Mistress in America, pardon me. Mistress America is both of them or just him? Is both of them again? And then by the time of everything else, she's again. We'll watch While We're Young. Is there a world where she plays the Amanda Seyfried part? Most definitely. I don't know how that planned out or anything like that. Maybe she was too old for it. I don't know. We'll have a look when we get there. But let's talk about Ben Stiller, who ends up being another lead collaborator in Baumbach's working career. He's great in this. He's great in My Witch Stories, and he's great in While We're Young. And I believe he's in the new one that is shooting right now. I don't know. I can't remember. Ben Stiller, somebody who apparently people are split down the middle on, and I don't get that. I think isn't Ben Stiller just the loveliest, just one of the great comedic personas, completely likable. What's your opinion on Ben Stiller?
Well, I feel that he's not meant to be likable in this, and so he does that
Yeah.
very effectively. Um, but maybe that is me being reductive. I don't know. I think he's very good at kind of this brash, like affected guy. Like it was so believable that he's just like irritated by everyone, but in a way that's not like, oh, you're, a bad guy. Like it comes from a very kind of vulnerable place. And like even when you get to his whole like chewing out of Florence, like, what the hell are you doing calling me? He's really earned that moment for me of like, oh, you see, it's not just surface level. I'm trying to push you away. It's like there's a lot more going on under the surface of like you don't want to get mixed up with me, essentially. And so yeah, I think this is kind of the most. I'm trying to think of what his other standout performances have been for me.
Well, is this? I don't want to be rude, but obviously you're not as you haven't watched as many films. Is it just like Night at the Museum when you were a kid? Have you seen There's Something About Mary? Have you seen any of his other dramatic work? Or
Was he an Anchorman?
he was in Anchorman as a cameo of the Spanish news presenter in The Big Fight.
Nice.
Because
What am I
that is
thinking of?
Espanol news.
No, what's the figure skating one?
Blades of Glory.
Is that? Is it,
Will Ferrell and Owen Wilson. He
oh
may have a cameo. I've not seen Blades of Glory, so
no, is it not figure skating? Zoolander.
well, Zoolander's fucking huge.
Yeah.
I can't turn left.
They don't skate in that?
No.
He just looks like a figure skater.
They go down the mine. Merman, merman. Anyway, I love Zoolander. Anyway, but yes, no, for the most part, touche. Dodgeball, great movie. Ben Stiller was known at the time as either being the comedic straight man in movies like Along Came Polly or There's Something About Mary, or which are wacky comedies in their own right around him, or wacky himself, which is brilliant at doing. Happy Gilmore, Zoolander,
Happy
Dodgeball.
Gilmore, I've seen.
Happy Gilmore's great. Okay, old lady, stop working. Very funny. Greenberg was a departure, and he has since gone on to. I mean, he's a very accomplished director in his own right, and his work has grown more dramatic, not only in his directing but also in his acting, and that kind of begins. Not to put it to give Baumbach too, but Baumbach is the kind of the one person at the time who gives him that go, and in return, Ben Stiller obviously gives him the credibility to make this film with as big a budget as relatively big a budget as it got. Stiller said of Noah's work is very detailed and goes into specifics on the characters. It's all written on the page. We rehearsed a lot. It really has to be said as written. So there was hardly any improvisation on the shoot, and that was exciting. Not having the burden of having to come up with something to try to make it better. What I had to do was to make sure that I would get the rhythm of his dialogue, his lines to work. Some sequences, 4 to 6 pages in the script, were like doing little plays. And that, I mean, obviously refers to what happens when a comedic movie star becomes big, which is that instead of wasting a great script on them, they will give them a subpar script in the hope that a Ben Stiller or a Will Ferrell will make it better. When obviously they don't have to. Here with Greenberg. 10 minutes stretch. Let's talk about meeting Florence. Obviously, we spent 10 minutes meeting Florence. She's more or less freshly out of a breakup. She's having. How excited were you when the wonderful Merritt Weaver showed up?
Oh, love her. Just an absolute treat. Needed more of her.
You must be Roger. Yep. You want to join us? I'm okay. I'm okay here. All right. Let's start here. when was his breakdown? What actually happened, and what can we diagnose Greenberg with? Because it does kind of once again fall into the aloofness of, are they all autistic? Are they high functioning? Like, are they just awkward?
Yeah, well, he mentions that he is a little bit, well, he says he's a little OCD, but I don't know whether that's kind of a throwaway or whether that's like a genuine diagnosis. There's the thing that the shrink says about missing by 5%, which I'd initially like when I first heard it, I was like, oh, he like shot himself. He was off by 5%, but I think that was a bit much. I don't know, I think
Possibly.
it's very it's almost very 80s in the sense of like, we're just calling everything a nervous breakdown, like, and not really going into the specifics, which, you know, maybe that people just kind of take that at face value, and then
maybe
they're not as probing as we would be now.
Or he has been given an official diagnosis and he's just kept it to himself. I wouldn't, I know.
Well, yeah, because this is a guy that doesn't have a network of people really that he wants to share stuff with.
People, people
his
throw
own
it
best
around.
friend didn't even know he went.
People throw it around as just something to call, people who get angry. But I think of all things, he's definitely bipolar. And whether he has been given a private diagnosis of bipolar disorder, or is it a disorder or a syndrome?
Disorder.
Just those immense fluctuating of emotions, specifically into anger, an outburst of anger. And again, he's been left alone. His brother, whether he once had time for it or is trying to be more standoffish, is currently at a period where he doesn't have time for it, for better or for worse. And the wonderful Chris Messina, who is great in this. You talk about more Merritt Weaver. We need more Chris Messina. We need more Merritt Weaver. We need more Chris Messina. Could make a Vogue rap. I can hear it now. 10-minute stretch, beating Florence. Is it a change? Is it a conversation? Did this movie need more Greta Gerwig? Did it need to be slightly more balanced?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's only when I kind of look back through it, and I think my main change was with the ending.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Sorry, what ending? I know, like,
exactly. Okay, good. We're on the same page.
I sound like my mother. Like, it's the sort of thing where we'd watch this movie. I don't know. I like, there are certain movies that have ambiguous or abrupt endings, and I'm like, that was a perfect ending. And my mum or my dad will go, right, and or my dad will surprise me. My dad loved May December. Everybody loved May December, but my mum was like, "What was that ending? Don't get it."
That's the thing, and like sometimes I feel like, okay, I just need to sit with this for a little bit longer and kind of get my own interpretation. But then with this one, I just felt like I was grasping at straws a little bit of like, oh, yeah, he's finally able to see someone receiving his call and like know that there's someone on the other side that's actually listening. But then I was like, it's still a bit of a nothing ending. And my other principal gripe is that we don't really get an arc for Florence. Like, we don't see the end of her.
Don't see enough for Florence. And I mean, Greenberg does get an arc. Like, he gets to literally say out loud, I'm okay talking, whatever he says. He says the line, it doesn't define me. My breakdown doesn't define me. And that's the arc. That's the ending of the film. So as flippant as we're being, there is an ending that I can see him control.
But at the same time,
saving.
it's like you don't really see any actions to kind of support it. Like, it's great that he feels empowered enough to say it, but at the same time, it's like, what have you actually done that's deviating from your usual routine of, self-sabotage and not trying to do anything with your life because you're
Yeah.
scared of things moving on without you. And you know, it's not even necessarily that I want like a happy ending where he's like completely content with things now. But yeah, it just felt a little bit too like open-ended.
We're both naturally romantic people.
Mm,
For me, it's my greatest flaw in life and rules every ounce of my being. And you love to critique my romantic screenplays and say they shouldn't be together and all this sort of
I
thing.
do.
Um, but when it comes to other stuff and other movies, like, are you hesitant to have them get together? Does this movie, or
Yeah,
is
I
I
mean,
yeah, yeah.
I'm obviously not as seasoned a writer, but I've obviously tried to explore, you know, male-female relationships that don't fall into like the trope of, oh yeah, let's get them in a romantic relationship at
Mm.
the end and take an issue with it. Um, but yeah, I think I don't know, would this have made it better for me if they went their separate ways, but were changed as a result of meeting and seeing each other? Maybe.
Or is the greatest text, I think, of the past 20 years might be "Oh Hello on Broadway," which I recently rewatched on the bus. And there's the bit, where they're talking about endings of plays. And they say, or maybe you had that sort of ending where the writer says, people don't say interesting things in life, so why should I try that hard? And is it that thing of, in reality, these two people do stay together, because why not? They're both fucking
Mm.
lonely. Life's awful. They they have a good
Yeah,
connection.
it's that thing as well of like when you explore like mental health and like mental illness in like your protagonist and like it doesn't take that much to kind of almost get them. Be like, yeah.
And
Like it's just
also,
it's not the cause, it's the symptom of the
well,
world
sometimes,
around you and like becoming something that you no longer really understand. Like,
and
are
also,
they the monologue, the Coke monologue is maybe one of my favorite moments.
and also something that we don't understand yet. Let's be honest. When I'm
Mm.
40, God forbid, like, I'm not single, but I'll be, I'll be honest. I don't care. If I'm
There's
40,
a there's a podcast that I watch, sorry, that you just reminded me. And it's one of like three with the same troupe of people.
is it
And
the Hawk?
it's
Is it
Brittany
the
Brooks
Hawk
and Taylor
Tour? Is it
Ingram.
the Hawk Tour podcast?
No, but it's them saying, yeah, we have an agreement, if by 40 we're both still single, we're gonna kill each other. Murder suicide pact.
No, I'm not talking about us getting together. I'm talking about, if I'm still 40, are you still giving me the advice that you've just given me with the last woman of, yeah, you're give up. It doesn't, it's not worth it. Or are you giving the thing of, you should make it work? I think it could work. She's a nice woman.
Do you know what? I hope that I never get to that point. I hope that I still always have like zest and optimism for finding, well, not even like the one, but just someone that serves you and someone that nourishes and nurtures your life. Like I don't
But
think you should ever feel like, oh, I'm settling.
I know,
But I
but
don't
now
know,
we're talking
maybe
about
maybe
now we're talking about me, like, specifically. But she did serve me, just as Greenberg and Florence serve each other in some ways. And it's not about
mm,
settling; it's about finding somebody, unfortunately, who serves you in between the 40% to 60% range, if not 100%.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's about your mindset because if you go into it thinking even remotely I am settling, or this isn't the kind of treatment that I want, but it's what I'm going to accept. We accept the love we think we deserve. Then it's not a good foundation to build a life on or any kind of relationship on.
But who came up with the box office? Right, first 10-minute stretch, meeting Florence. Um, yeah, it's a great way in, but does it kind of set us up for a different movie?
Yeah. Again, looking back, it it kind of threw me
I
to
go
then spend time with Ben.
I go back to my theory. Is there a draft of this movie that is more Greenberg and
Mm.
just everybody just became so enamored with Greta that
But then it also kind of it feels very reminiscent of the What I Love About Nicole, What I Love About Charlie. It's
oh
just
yeah.
we don't really see we don't get that same lengthy montage of Roger. I guess like the you got the motif of like him with the neighbors at the pool and being kind of just on the outskirts of like
Hmm.
socializing and like their world. I guess it's yeah, it's kind of you do
There's
still
people in
get
the
that
pool.
juxtaposition of like this is Florence in her element, like these are all the lives that she touches on a daily basis. And he
Hmm.
doesn't have that because he is a recluse, essentially.
Yep.
But then it's like she's still
And on a literal
lonely
level,
and
and on a lit oh,
unsatisfied.
sorry. And on a literal level, if this is an LA story, Roger's not in LA yet. So like,
Mm,
we're just starting slightly. It's a nice prologue to get us into the film.
yeah. I
Um,
guess it's kind of like the two poles of like they're both lonely, but she's a lonely extrovert and he's a lonely introvert.
yeah, yeah. The party is excellent, including Reese's argument, including one of the only times I've enjoyed Brie Larson, including the wonderful Juno Temple of Notes of a Scandal fame.
Yeah, love.
Oh, you again, the spectre at the feast. Um, Still one of our highest rated videos. Many, many, many views, which is insane. Um, and other than that, I don't particularly have any. I've got more single minutes as per the scan the typical with these Baumbachs. Um, the party. Let's talk about the party just a little bit. As a man, as not that I'm actually older than any of you, but as a third year who ended up at a
Spiritually old man.
spiritually old, but as a third year who ended up at a load of first year parties due to a series of events, it is just a bizarre situation, and it's even worse
Mm.
if you throw yourself in and kind of don't accept who you are at that party, which is what Greenberg slowly but surely realizes. It's like, I can be cool, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got some great coke music. um
You should stop saying Coke so much. Yeah, I can't lie, there were a lot of Tomisms. My bingo card was filling up. Uh the Duran Duran, like
what a
you
great track.
asshole. I was listening to that.
Chauffeur is a
I
fucking
actually
incredible
hate
song.
Coke.
What else was on the bingo card?
Um, I don't think I've ever seen you tidy up after people.
Beg
It's
to
just the
differ.
general.
Whenever I've stayed over at your house, I was once referred to as the best person to ever, well, was once referred to as the best person to stay over at a person's house because I cleaned up the morning after.
But no, I just meant I'm just thinking of like in the party sequence where he's just like he doesn't know what to do, so he's just like tidying. I don't think you've been that uncomfortable. Um, I'm just trying to think of
I,
some other things.
I can be though, can be. I mean, I don't. I think it's like chicken and the egg, isn't it? We watched When Harry Met Sally again with friends in the house, and they were like, "Oh, this is you." And I watched with the last lady, the apartment, and she the whole multiple times was like, "Oh, it's you," and I don't know what is chicken and the
Hard to
egg.
know what came first and like what molded your personality or whether it was just you to begin with.
I mean, I'll force you to watch the apartment one time in your life, and you will enjoy it.
Mm.
Maybe there's a Christmas screening, but it it wasn't that I'm like Buddy Baxter in just like the ways he says things. It was just emotional and his temperament, not his temperament, his just nice, calming nature with women and his patience, despite being madly in love with them and all that sort of thing. Anyway, but yes, the bound back man. I say, like, I went through this with the marriage story. I am not saying it's a good thing that I am Charlie,
Mm.
but I am
It's just a
Charlie.
fact. Yeah.
Yeah. Harry, when I met Sally, is more light-hearted, so we don't see Harry's bad sides. But I'd probably be mine. Greenberg, though, has many issues, has genuine issues. Um, what spurred the breakdown?
Well, that's the thing. If it doesn't feel like any one thing, it's his general kind of, and again, it's explored in a really like effective way that make you go, oh yeah, like, well, it is awful. Of like, times are changing, and he feels like he's aging with not a lot to show for it, and like his opportunities have kind of come and gone, and suddenly like people talk different and move through the world differently, and like
You're
he's
making this.
constantly got
You're making this sound like Shawshank Redemption when Brooks comes out. He's like, "When I went in, there was one car. Now everything moves so fast." I'm not that old.
well, yeah, but and like I imagine if he did spend quite a long stint in the hospital as well, it would kind of feel like that, like you come out to a completely new world.
Yeah.
And
I
kind of
mean,
he's clinging on to the few remaining people in his life that he knows, but he's clinging on to the old versions of them.
yeah, and it also, I can't remember what it was, but there was a very good play I read, and it was an alcoholic, and he'd come out of rehab and that sort of thing, and he was going through scene by scene all the people he'd wronged, and most of them were just like, "Fuck off, fuck off! I'm not gonna. I can't give you. I can't give you." And it was so dark and funny and brilliant, and there was just no scene of compa. And this has a very similar pattern of he goes to Mark Duplass and he's like, "No, we should have taken the record deal. We should have taken the record deal. You've effectively ruined my life, or at least squandered the one opportunity I had." And with all of them, he's like, "No, no, no, I'm sorry, and others. It's like, no, can't do it, Roger. I'm sorry." Now, like, and again, to what extent is he just a full-blown dick? I don't want to, minimize mental health or anything like that, but how much is his disorder, is his whatever, and is he just an antisocial dick?
Well, this is the thing, and it's like you see characters like this, and you're like, and again with Margot as well, you watch them and you're like, this is so real, and they're coming from a very specific set of like neuroses and lived experiences, and it makes you feel kind of like really small, and like it sounds really redundant to say it out loud, but like everyone's got shit and baggage and stuff, and it's a wonder that anyone comes out the other side as like a functioning good person. But at the same time, it's what people do with their issues, and it's how they choose to kind of take ownership of them that really counts. Because I've got many friends with a litany of struggles that they've done the emotional work, and I think as well that's an interesting kind of touchstone that they talk about, is like this next generation is so good at talking about their feelings and therapizing everybody else, but he is from a generation where they don't do that, and like he was never taught how to even make sense of what's going on, never mind do the work and not let it bleed out and affect everyone around you.
So Ben,
So yeah, I think it's a combination of, he's obviously going through a hard time. And I mean, Greta even says it on the phone, doesn't she? She's like, he feels things. You can tell he really struggles with a lot of things. Like, I think he's vulnerable. And it's that classic, I guess it's become a
broken
classic
wing.
trope now of the I can fix him girls. But it's like, I guess it's from a time where it was less of a tired trope of like, oh, they're.
Yeah.
Of course, he's got no
Well,
defense
it's now been reowned and turned into a joke, whereas it previously was an unhealthy just truth. Ben Stiller said this.
Well, yeah.
What it really is about a guy who has found a way to protect himself from the world, and obviously that protection comes with just limited interactions. Before we take our first break, have I missed any 10-minute stretches, Rhian?
No, I only had the meeting Florence and the party as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, there we go. So we'll be back in a moment with our second part to discuss the rest of Greenberg on. And we're back. Tom's weirdly specific favorite parts of the film. Don't pack that skirt. I like that. He's going to make. I love the wife who doesn't like Greenberg at all, and what little time we do get with her, Chris Messina's wife. He's going to make Marla a dark house. He says he's going to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's email in Japan. I think they have email everywhere now.
Vietnam.
I said Vietnam.
You said Japan.
Did I? Sorry, Vietnam's written in front of me. There's people in the pool. Very good. It's true. No one really honks here. Yeah, yeah. I'm Risa fans. Yeah, it's true. I can't do it. Can you imagine going to Vietnam? What, to fight? I guess we're just now too.
Stepping on my line, huh?
Sorry.
Every time.
I'm fair to middling. Leonard Maltin would probably give me 2.5 stars. Very good. And I love just the saddest real like attempt to trying to make your life healthy and happy. I've got to stop doing things because they feel good.
Oh yeah.
A mental patient just went down on you. Sucking the hose pipe in an attempt to try and drain the pool. For the barbecue, I got you iced tea and lemonade, but I don't know the right proportions.
Great.
Have you ever had an Arnold Palmer?
No, I haven't. But that
Very
is
good.
me whenever I'm making anything that like technically we serve at the bar at work. Like I had a northern guy be like, "Can I get a lime and soda?" And I was like, "You could just do." He's like, "I need like a big one. I'm a proper northern lad. I need a lime and soda, like in a big glass, if that's okay." And I went, "You handle the proportion. I'm going to charge you the same either way. So you just go ahead."
Lime and sodas are tough. I mean, people have different. People like a lot of lime. Some people like a little lime. When he changes the music to Duran Duran's masterpiece, The Chauffeur. Come on, man, fuck off, Jerry. Again, I've unfortunately been in that position many, many times because people don't like good music. I reassessed the movie Wall Street, amongst other things.
I don't know it.
Well, there you go. Yourself.
The shopping list at the beginning, whiskey and ice cream sandwiches, just so true. Roger not being able to swim, just great. All the complaint letters, it's just so indicative of someone who does not have anything going on. And I say this because this was me this week.
You wrote a complaint letter?
Well, I've just had more time, and therefore any gripe that I have become a bit of a Karen. I will just email people when things aren't going my way. And I'm never mean, I'm never rude, but I am principled, and I say, this is my experience, and I don't want this to happen. I sent off a load of my old clothes to a website. I won't drop the name, but their whole shtick is give us your old clothes, we'll sell it on, and you can get the money. And I waited weeks to hear about like my items going up for resale, and I didn't hear anything back. So I logged into my account and it said we couldn't sell any of them. They've gone into recirculation. So of course I have the time. I get on the computer and I say, "Hi, there are about 15 garments in this bag. You'd think that at least some of them would be sold. In lieu of receiving cash for my items, I'd love to know a little bit about your recirculation process, the recycling centers and the charity shops you're partnered with, because I'd love some reassurance that they're going to a good home or being ethically disposed of. Regards. And the day after, I got an email saying, "Oh, your clothes are ready to be relisted."
There you go.
But that may have been because of my Karen-ness. I also was told that they don't partner with certain brands, which I didn't know about. So they did have to dump like a good 2/3 of them on the basis of it's the wrong brand, which I think is stupid. But I was very nice the whole time. But yeah, it's that thing of suddenly everything becomes more of an issue because you don't have a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or he genuinely thinks I can be the one to change these things. If nobody else, it's that thing of like nobody else is doing a letter. If I write a letter,
yeah, it's kind of it rides a weird line because he's not nihilistic in his depressiveness. He's like, yeah, everything's shit, and I need to like it's like he's taking control of these little things because on a grander macroscopic scale, it's so harder. It's so harder. It's so much harder.
Yeah, you can't control everything else.
The puppets, great. I think they're too old. The inviting him to the like open mic or the concert and him just being absolutely dumbfounded, like, oh no, I don't think we should do this again. And it felt very reminiscent of us trying to promote our many projects and things. It's like, we're doing this thing. You should come. I know it's late note, just come. And Lenny watching Just My Luck. Love that.
Yeah. Best single minute leads us neatly into best single minute. Yeah. Speaking of Roger's letter to Mayor Bloomberg about the noise pollution, the semi-autistic breakdown at the birthday cake. Sit on my dick, asshole. I don't know if it might be a change for me. I don't know if it's too much.
Well, it's meant to be like something that they can't ignore as the wait staff. Like if he was just like, "Oh, I fucking hate you," they would just play through that. Whereas
who does that? Who does that to
shouting at him
somebody?
and getting up and walking away. I just love the absolute like earnestness of he is in the wrong for getting me a cake on my birthday.
And the greatest single minute of Baumbach's career, second to the knife, is can the pool overflow? Can the fucking pool overflow? Of course the pool can overflow. What the fuck? It was just a question. Oh, yeah, I'll just leave you. Yeah, is my dog dead? Great. Genuinely incredibly funny. I've always thought it was funny. And then when he's doing the sucking the hose pipe, oh, it's very, 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 very funny. Any nominations, Rhian, for best single minute?
I like the gallery thing that they go to, Merritt and Greta at the beginning, and just like the
good place to pick up guys.
The clumsiness of like.
Is that why you went to the museum yesterday to pick up men?
I didn't actually go, but I will be going back to the Prince Charles Cinema to pick up men. Lots of meets there.
The next thing I'm watching. Me and Jay are doing Mulholland Drive. Anyway.
Nice. Roger's the whole thing about I'm doing nothing. I'm committed to doing nothing. Beautiful Greta monologue about just the female experience in your 20s and we're going to pretend to be these girls that like pick up a bunch of guys and suddenly we're there and it's ridiculous because we're playing these girls and they don't know. That is like that resonated with me so much, and it's such a simple.
You're having a real time of it, these Baumbach movies, kicking and screaming. We're about to watch Frances Ha again.
I know. I love Frances Ha though, as resonant as it was. And then the again, another great monologue of like, I'm freaked out by you kids, and just rattling off all of the ways that like
Yeah.
the new generation is like more competent, but also like more cynical. And yeah, I think it really it's hard sometimes to write in a very honest, raw way from the perspective of an older person being like, "Oh, you kids, like I feel so lost,"
Yeah.
without it becoming like cliche and gimmicky, and hitting home with the younger people as well. And I think it's something that he manages to pull off really
Oh,
well.
masterfully. Yeah. I mean, you talk about, I mean, we go back to your issues with the depiction of Frank aside, his ability to write, hone, and create three-dimensional, brilliant characters, ranging from the 10-year-old Frank to the, I mean, you haven't watched Meyerowitz Stories yet, but the 70-year-old Dustin Hoffman in Meyerowitz Stories. To, I mean, yes, as the tweet, the whoever tweeted it when somebody was like, you know, when the new movie was announced to be about middle-aged people going through a crisis of coming of age, and everyone was like, yeah, yes, even 10-year-old Frank sounds in a sense like a 40-year-old man, and all that sort of thing. But such incredible, I mean, again, we whether we're giving not enough or too much credit to Greta and Jennifer Jason Leigh, I don't know. But his female characters I've always loved his female characters because I think I mean it's the as good as it gets. Jack Nicholson, how do you write such good female characters? I take a man and I remove reasoning, whatever. Anyway, he says some sexist shit. But I think he doesn't, like Laura Linney doesn't have anything to, like she doesn't get away with anything. Nicole also cheats. Well, she's not cheating. She's not cheating, yes. Sorry. But she also has her foibles. Everybody is always on a level playing field. Nobody is, as we dissected on our Marriage Story podcast about how people think that he gives Charlie an easy road out. I don't think he literally lets anybody get away with anything.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes it's just that easy in creating three-dimensional female characters who's, you know, and it's interesting because in the case of Florence, I think she's a very three-dimensional female character, despite the fact that her life is currently she's allowing it to revolve around
Yeah,
Roger.
getting
It's
up to
like, but
date. Yeah.
it's the irony of it, you know, but it's not. They don't ever act like it's something that it's not.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, she realizes that this is something that she's doing and is probably not the healthiest or is going to be the most fruitful in the long term. But you really get a sense of who she is and why she does that. And I
Great
think,
film.
yeah, Greta is such like a tour de force, and like she really inspires me, you know, in the realms of like the awkward girl.
Well,
Like
she's such a good
it's
actress.
kind of
I think
divorced
with the
from Manic Pixie
mm,
because it's just a little bit too unpleasant at times.
realistic, yeah.
You
Um,
know, it's too real.
like this is I loved White Noise, and this is not. I think you know her immense talent and success as a director and writer of recent years has kind of taken away from the fact that she's a really good actress as well. And you know people can be multiple things, but I don't think nobody really talks about her as a great actress anymore.
Because
And
it's so understated as well. And
yeah,
sure, like there are certain things that I don't know if she could really pull off, like in terms of like melodrama, but it's like
White
she's
Noise,
really
White Noise is melodramatic.
well, there we go. This is me, but pre White Noise saying,
That's a
I don't
lie.
know
You
if she
watched the
could do
first
that.
15 minutes.
Yeah, but she's not much, it's not gotten anywhere yet. I'm ready to be proved wrong, is what I'm saying.
I don't know if
Because
she
right
will
now,
be.
she's mastered her niche of like just
Oh, she's
yeah,
like
like
she's got the summer Zoe Deschanel Jess Day thing, but in a realistic world where she's got
mm.
to deal with rent and like actual issues rather than, oh, I'm in a perfect flat with three lovely guys, lovely unthreatening men. I have no issues in
Well, because
life.
also Yeah, it's the most unrealistic part. Because also, am I wrong in saying that 500 Days of Summer we never see her on her own? Like, and I know that's by
Yeah.
design,
Yeah.
but like it's always through the lens of he is like watching her and fawning over her and like
The
trying to
whole, well, that's, yeah, but
get an
that's
in.
that
And
is
yeah,
the
that is the point of it. So I don't take issue with that. But like that's why we don't put her on the same
I never told anybody that before.
pedestal, you know? And
Yeah,
it feels so more performative. Whereas thankfully we do get time spent with Florence and
indeed.
just her hardships and her dreams.
You'll do fine. Best line. That's soundtrack corner. Beautiful original score by James Murphy of LCD Sound System. Really great score.
Great. Yeah.
LCD Sound System come back to write the song New Body Rumba from White Noise. I love the show for obviously one of my favorite Duran Duran songs. So fuck yeah, you know what you're doing, Roger. That is good coke music. If I think I put it in Tom's Big Question. Yeah. My perfect coke music would probably also be Duran Duran. Don't do coke. However, the best musical moment is, of course, when I talk about Dream Women territory, Greta dancing to Paul McCartney's solo hit, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey, hands across the water. And I also just love how much her skirt has ridden up and like how much we see. I love the realistic thing where your skirt, I don't know, where your tights and then anyway, she's just so like comfortable in her own home and she's pissed out of her mind whether she's trying to kill the baby or just dealing with it. And
Mm.
hands across the water.
Yeah, it doesn't feel kind of leery or like
Oh no, not a chance.
male gazy in that moment to me. It's like
Even
it's what
the
you said. It's
well, I don't
comfort
know.
and
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess letting herself go a little bit.
Yeah. Admiral Halsey said a birdie. Best line, you shoot.
Can you imagine going to Vietnam? What to fight?
Um,
I
you
know.
like
I'm saying
you like
normal.
a shrink said to me once that I have trouble living in the present, so I linger on the past because I felt like I never really lived it in the first place, you know?
This is such a simple one, but it just says so much about the character. Oh yeah, my brother's kid, my stepsister, your niece. Like he thinks of himself as a kid as well. He forgets he has a niece.
Um, Youth is wasted on the young. I go further. I'd say life is wasted on people. That's that sort of like, and I think Noah has enough humility to know that that is not actually a smart thing to say. That is just a depressive bullshit comment that a depressive person would say. That I mean, I came up with one fucking an hour ago, and you said write that one down. Oh, people don't go to bars to drink; they go to, and you're like, yeah, sure, and yeah, I'm depressed anyway. I just got out of a long relationship, and I don't want to go from having sex to just having sex to just having sex. Who's the third just having sex?
Which
You.
one am I?
Yeah.
I'm wearing kind of an ugly bra. It's like an ace bandage. It doesn't
Um,
clasp.
I struggled with the bra.
Also, my change. Sorry, this is one for the women watching. Who puts on a bra like forward and like puts it on
I see that in a lot of films.
and then clasps it at the back completely blind? Maybe I'm just not very dexterous, but you do like the front and then the twist, surely.
I don't know. Maybe if you're flat enough, you don't have to twist.
Uh,
um, I'll take you to it. How's that going to work? Am I going to drive you to take me?
That was so good. I don't find other girls in LA attractive. Do you? I do, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
said I don't.
Very good. I was thinking this morning that I've been at, oh, I'll leave that one for you. We're not really even dating and we're seeing other people. I'm not seeing anyone. Neither am I, but I want to. Who? I don't know anyone. I've done nothing. I'm not tied to anyone. How many times do we have to go over it? Jesus, I should be with a divorced 38-year-old who has teenage kids and low expectations of life.
So good. You're a value. I know that. You don't need to tell me that.
Again, I just love Baumbach's just reluctance to. Anyway, this has bled through to my writing.
Anytime he has a character parrot somebody else, it works perfectly because it's an instant callback, and you're like, you don't trust yourself to say anything good in this moment.
And then I thought you would say this one. I was thinking this morning that I've been out of college now for as long as I was in, and nobody cares if I get up in the morning.
And then immediately makes out with a guy. Well, I haven't been out of college for as long as I was in yet. I have another 2 years.
I have now, haven't I?
When did you graduate? 21.
Yeah, because by the time that you've graduated would have been my time to.
It's fine. Don't give him beer. He's got an autoimmune disorder.
Which leads to my change. What's the change? Feeding a dog kibble. Everybody should eat pure pet food. It's far better for your dogs. Kibble is awful. I feed Royal Canin because it's good for my dog's health. Royal Canning's awful. We're sponsored.
You heard it here first, folks. This episode is sponsored by Pure Pet Food. I actually hate Coke. I hate it politically. I hate how it makes me feel. But when it's done, I may have to kill one of you out of sheer frustration.
People
I'm sorry
always
your
say,
dog has AIDS.
sorry, go on. People
He
always
doesn't have
say,
AIDS. Victor! I didn't recognize the diminutive.
Me too. People always talk about me on Coke. I've never done Coke, and they're like, I don't need this. Exact. Thank you. People always say you don't need him, which is. Whereas
you
I
would
think
be him jumping over sofas,
I
trying to
know.
put a song on.
Be great,
and then you
wouldn't
twist something, and then it'd be everyone's.
What's the change? I just have one, which is kind of just the
I
endings.
have one more line. You're 25. I was just 27.
That's good, yeah. What's the change? I want to listen to my message. Ending's too cute. It's just far too cute. And that's kind
Also,
of
what
it.
does it mean? Like that, I did my little clutching at straws, sum up before, but I don't know if that's really the intention. And again, it's like, yeah, it feels too incomplete in terms of Florence's story. Like, why does she?
Florence's story.
I guess she realizes that he cares about him. Well, she literally says, "You like me a lot more than you think you do."
There is in there two kernels of an ending, which is her saying that out loud and him saying out loud, my breakdown doesn't define me. That is an ending.
But it just feels a little bit lazy to me. Because
it also feels cute. It feels far too cute.
Yeah. Also, you're sleeping with a girl who you've already kind of messed about. She's in the hospital. You're gonna go, regardless of whether you want to pursue a relationship with her, surely. You being a semi-decent guy is not necessarily indicative of wanting to show up as like a boyfriend. And again, like at no point do I get the sense of like they have anything in common and that they're actually suitable. The only thing is that they're both kind of lonely.
Yeah.
And then we just want to accept that is like nice. Like there are ways that they can spin it to be, like you say, like cute or to end it on kind of a hopeful note, even if that is all they want to say at the end of this film. But yeah, I think that particular note didn't quite hit the mark for me.
What are your other changes?
The bra thing, but maybe that's me. Maybe I'm the freak. What else? I did have something. Oh, I completely skipped over another one of my moments that I enjoyed.
Yes.
Um, the way the way Beth just absolutely like pies him off. No, no. I mean, this is a terrible idea, but no, I mean, no.
Yeah. It's very good.
Um, yeah, I think the Beth stuff really worked for me. Um, I guess maybe the ending came too soon. No, because that was like kind of the midway point, wasn't it? Yeah,
It just feels a little bit slight, doesn't it? It just
yeah,
feels.
and it doesn't feel like he well, because he literally gets like rejected by his ex, who he still talks about all the time.
Hmm.
And so it doesn't feel like a natural moving on to something new of his own accord. And I get, sometimes people don't really have the choice in that matter of like being the one to walk away. But you would still need to like spend a little bit of time and just be like, I'm okay with the fact that this isn't going to go anywhere before you find somebody new, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's just me.
No, it's all completely fair. The tagline though, again, the tagline, he's got a lot on his mind. It's like, oh, I guess. I mean, yeah, yeah, true. Um,
Uh,
Tom's
mental
big
illness.
Tom's big question, kind of. Can I get a job as a carer for a family? I'm great with children. Looks like easy work.
Au pair world.
Do they hire men?
I'm sure that there is a demand for them somewhere. Just have to find them.
I'll have a look.
And I mean, I guess it varies as well because some of them are, very high maintenance, and then some you're just hanging out with the kids or
Could start a baby
just
girl
doing the last
situation.
bit of laundry.
Would start an affair with the high-ranking CEO who needs me to care for the children. Oh, Christmas. Oh no, it'll already been and gone. We'll have watched Baby Girl. I'll have given it 10 out of 10. We'll have done a
You'll watch it
podcast.
again as a Christmas present to yourself.
Well, Nicole is the queen of fucked up Christmas movies. Like Eyes Wide Shut is Christmas.
Mm.
Anyway, in the early drafts of the screen, oh, sorry, also 14-hour flight. So that's like 7 movies is my literal way that I judge plays.
Yeah. Do you know what it
Um,
was? That was an ism that I've forgotten about. Between that and us watching The Exorcist yesterday and it ending with, "You like movies? I got passes." Literally the only reason I was at that movie was because
True, true. That's actually
you had
the
pass.
new ending that I don't like, but I didn't tell you that yesterday. In the early drafts of the screenplay, Greenberg was written as a man in his early 30s, inspired by the idea of casting Ben Stiller. Baumbach and Jennifer Jason Leigh rewrote the entire script and made Greenberg to be 40 years old, turning 41.
I do think it works better as much as it kind of
What's
icks
the
me
age?
out.
What's the age gap?
15 years
Okay.
or 14, which I believe is the same age gap between
Oh
Baumbach
yeah.
and
Oh
Gerwig.
yeah. Because he does have
Oh,
the Baumbach haircut. Noah
between
Baumbach, who Jazz only found out yesterday isn't Adrian Brody.
no, because that's so real. Yes, Gerwig 40 and Baumbach 54. So he literally was the same
let's
age.
let's give them both a break. They're very happy.
Sometimes it works.
I know.
Sometimes.
Original casting. Want to talk about sliding doors? Because isn't this isn't just the sliding doors for Baumbach. This is sorry for the film Greenberg. This is a sliding doors for their lives. Original
Mm,
cast included Amy Adams. I can see it.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you not
Oh,
like
yeah,
Amy
no, I guess
Adams?
so. No, I do, but I don't know. I think I just struggle to picture it.
Fair enough. I don't have anything left to say about Greenberg. Do you, Miss Holmes?
No, I think that covers everything. I think, yeah, another solid, slick time. Um, I I won't be sharing my definitive ranking until the end.
Are you keeping an ongoing ranking, or are you going to do it at the end?
I think I'm going to do it at the end just because sometimes full disclosure, guys, sometimes I watch the movie and then instantly come on here and talk about it. So there's a chance that having sat with it for a little bit longer, my opinions may change and different things will stick with me. So yeah, I'm gonna hold off. But none of them have been so like polarizingly like
I
out of
literally,
the same league as the others. You know what I mean?
I literally
Because it's
think,
going to be a close call.
I literally think you're going to enjoy all of them, and then White Noise might be the one that you're like misfire.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't watched it since the middle of the ocean, so
Yeah. And I did, as you baited me out, I I did watch the first 15 minutes and then switched over to Hot Summer Nights, which I regretted because it actually was shit also.
dreadful. Have you seen the picture of him in the new table tennis movie?
Timotei?
Hmm.
No.
Oh, forgot about this. Again, this movie will have come out and we'll have all forgotten about it immediately. I'm not ready for you to fucking start liking Bob Dylan next month. You're gonna like, oh yeah,
I don't dislike Bob Dylan
sure,
now.
sure. Well, where have you been, my blue-eyed son? Anyway, next is Greta time just keeps going. Is this? I mean, we should talk about this more on Francis Hart, but is this like the best case scenario we've had in a very long time for Muse and auteur?
Of them in the sense of like that's how they began, but now
No,
it's
in
kind
the
of
sense, no, in the sense of a director or just professional person using all of their power and leverage to put their wife slash girlfriend slash partner on
well,
a
yeah,
major
I
celebrity.
mean, if you kind of put the love triangle of it all aside, it kind of has had the most wholesome ending you could hope for, and from a creative perspective as well. The
Oh yeah,
agency that they both have as writers, as directors, like is truly inspiring to see. And you
and
kind of you don't think about it as, oh, he gave her a leg up. It's like, no, this is
no,
an
no, I
incredibly
wasn't.
talented person in her own right. Um,
I mean, and
been
without
given a
Noah,
spotlight.
without without Noah, we wouldn't have had the
The Barbie
the
monologue.
Barbie
There,
monologue.
there, there. You said this about 16 times.
I know because
And
it's
that's
so
just
funny.
on live. Get
What's the other story
out of here.
that you've pulled me up on for saying like 5 times?
Just like every time someone mentions a movie that you like, it's the same like three quotes
True.
that
Give me a
you'll
movie. Give me a movie I like.
School of Rock.
That's a trap. I it is. It is. And then I go, would it be educational? And I'm sorry, we've lost all of your children.
Yeah.
I love this song. Give me another.
I think that's what we have time for, folks. Greenberg.
You've also frozen. So you just stood sat in like a very smug face going.
Oh
Um,
no.
Still frozen. It's all right. The episode's done. Right. Our next episode is the wonderful Francis Hart. Yeah, no, I guess that does work as an ending.
Da ba da ba da ba da.